Well, hey, it's Coach Amanda Gaines from the University of Minnesota, and we are so thrilled that you took some time out of your busy, busy, busy schedule to be on our podcast.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And we always have fun talking. I wish we would have recorded our before chat, well, because we already started talking. So um, it's just been great watching your journey this year. So tell us a little bit about your journey with the University of Minnesota dance team.
Yeah, just like my background in general with
Sure.
the
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and
yeah. So I grew up in Minnesota, did studio and did high school dance team, was always at a Trojet,
got to get
was
that in
coached
there.
by Swig, so one of the all-time greats.
Yep, sure is.
Then danced at the University of Minnesota, and then right after I graduated started as an assistant coach. And so have been actually we did the math and we realized that this spring I made the team 20 years ago this spring. So
Wow.
it's kind of wild how
No,
quickly time flies,
it
but
really does.
it's fun to get to kind of coach my alma mater and still be so involved in the dance community, just like in the state of Minnesota, because
Mhm.
obviously we see so much growth just within our state, and there's so much talent. And so it's really cool to get to kind of, represent at the collegiate level everything that our state stands for, because Minnesota does dance really well. And
Yeah,
it's cool
No
to see
other.
how much our state supports it. So it's an honor to kind of get to be at that level here.
yeah.
A couple things. I saw you speak at the Best of the Best, and I just have to say your genuine humbleness, and it just came through how much you care. And it was just a moment for me, like, being older and watching the growth of you guys and remembering you as a kid and as a
Hmm.
camp staff, and then you were out there speaking, and I just had a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, and you just sounded so awesome and genuine. So
Thank you.
it's
Thank
neat.
you.
Now, what
Yeah,
kind of
that was one of those moments I walked out there and I was like, why did I agree to say this? This is way more people than I was
It was so
anticipating
packed in there. It was
having to
so
talk to.
insane.
But
So
that,
I
yeah.
just hear on Instagram, you're announced as Team USA right now.
Yeah, yeah. So we are going to represent as the U.S. national team for jazz and pom at the ICU World Championships in
That's
April.
so cool.
So
Where is that
we
held?
it is in Orlando. It's at Wide World of Sports. So, they have such a great facility down there. Like
Yeah,
it's literally just they built it for cheer and dance. So,
So
yeah, we'll get to go back in April and represent as the US, which is a really cool experience. It's been 11 years since we've done it. The last time we did it was
wow.
2014. So,
Wow.
I
yeah,
like
excited
remember
to be
that, but that
back.
doesn't feel like that long ago.
I know that's what starts happening.
That's funny.
So let's talk state of Minnesota a little bit. I feel like you have been a catalyst, the University of Minnesota, on getting the press coverage and getting other teams to think they can do it and rise up. Like I look at all the small colleges that maybe 6, 7 years ago were just, they were just okay. And now the level has just gone way up. And you can say I mean, even some small colleges, I was actually shocked at the Best of the Best at how great some of these schools looked and how wonderful they've become and how many more kids are getting a chance to dance at the college level.
Yeah, it is really cool. So,
Yeah, I think, I've always appreciated how Minnesota has had such a strong presence at college nationals across all of the
yeah.
divisions,
Mhm.
Division 1A, Division 1 and Open, and it's been so cool to truly see just like how dominant all of these schools across Minnesota, like St. Thomas has always been such a powerhouse program, and then as they've made that switch to Division 1, they continue to just dominate. And then you look in the open category, you've got schools like Mankato, Duluth, St. Cloud, St.
Mhm.
Ben's, like that are truly just like the best of the best and are pushing boundaries in those categories. And yeah, I think like it's amazing that, like I said, there's so much talent in the state of Minnesota, and it's so cool to see kids have these opportunities to continue to compete at an elite level, no
Right.
matter where they're going, because they are
Absolutely.
truly getting like these incredible, dance experiences, no matter what level of school they're going to. And it's really cool to see how Minnesota shows up in that way, because like it's just there's so much talent to be showcased up north here. So
Yeah, it is. And even how you're doing all the clinics and the combines, it just started happening. And kids are just dialing into it. Like we have kids going to them all the time and they're going everywhere and they're excited. And I just think it's so great for the opportunity to push them. So
mhm. Yeah.
now if they could get high school dance team to be televised,
That'd be
know,
cool.
It's still so shocking to me because I one of my favorite facts, and I'm assuming this is still true, but like, Minnesota high school dance is like the second most participated sport in the state behind football. And so
and I
it's
think
been so great to see like more news coverage on it. But it's like, yes, like we've got to get, I think if, the last couple of years with like college dance, especially,
Yeah,
like going viral on social media, if it's shown anything, it's that like there's an appetite and there's an audience for this. Like
for
people
sure.
are invested in this as a sport. And
Right.
I think there's so much that people don't understand about it. And that's what's cool is like we're at this precipice where we can really start to educate and bring kind of like the layman along of like this is what dance as a sport is. And so yeah, that would be amazing if they could, just start to televise this because I think people are interested and
Are.
it's a cool sport. Like when you really get yourself like immersed in it,
Right.
you've got those competitive storylines, you've got the underdog stories, you've got these kids that literally like work from, the second they can walk till
Yeah.
high school for this. And then they're going on to compete, at elite levels in college too. So yeah, it would be amazing if we could start to see more, even more press and kind of recognition for
Yeah.
these
It's coming.
athletes
It's
like
coming
that.
slowly.
Yeah.
And I think you guys being on Good Morning America and it's just all made it aware. I also think there's someone in Minnesota that's a former dancer that's pushing.
Yeah. She's the one that was down at UDA.
Yeah.
Yes, Elle Mose. Yeah, she
Yeah.
has really spearheaded a lot of
Yeah.
this news coverage. And yeah, she was a dancer in high school. I think she danced at Benilde.
Vanilla. Yeah.
And it's so cool to see her really advocating and getting that traction and leverage with like her leadership to be able to kind of cover like all of these competitions
Yep.
and have it be talked about like football, like basketball, like hockey. Like these athletes deserve that. And so
Right.
it's really cool to have somebody kind of spearheading that and actually making progress with that, which is really
For
cool
sure.
because she's doing it and now other news stations are kind of quickly following along and
Yep.
Yeah.
it's just awesome to see.
It
It's
sure
really
is. And
cool.
from where I sit, like back in the day, like we actually had one of our newspaper editors say it'd be a cold day in hell before he would put us on the sports page. And it kind of was the big. And then one day I got a call, he had retired, and they said, it's a cold day in hell. You're going to be on the sports page, and I'm like, yay, and and I used to have to fight. I used to have to write every article. And now I'm on the bus on the way home and I get a phone call from the sports editor. And I just love it. It's like we are
And he's
growing.
even starting to understand the scores. Like he'll look
He's
at
like,
the
wow,
scores.
you were up in creativity this time. And he like knows, like he knows.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm excited about that. And I think everyone listening needs to push that in their area, trying to get coverage for our sport.
Mhm.
It's important.
All it takes is like one person to kind of
Yep.
like break that barrier. And then once they see that there is an audience and there's an appetite for this, like
Yeah.
they'll bite at it because yeah, there's, there are so many people that actually are interested in this and want
Well,
to follow along, want to support. And so as soon as we give that platform, like people will just jump at it. So yeah, it's all
yeah.
it takes is one person to kind of spearhead it and then it's amazing like the ripple effect that
For
happens.
sure.
So, yeah, I totally agree. And thanks for what you guys have done to help it. Today's episode is sponsored by 𝒉𝒂𝒏𝒔 Catalog. We are a one-stop shop for everything you need for coaching dance and running your studio, from costumes to poms to leotards to shoes. we have in-stock items ready to ship with great customer service. So check us out online at 𝒉𝒂𝒎𒒑𝒊𝒐𝒏𝒔.com. How about the story of your jazz dance? I'm totally flipping gears.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like you could kind of like, obviously there was a very like big story with it, but I was so curious, like what you guys specifically were like channeling.
Yeah, so we were really excited to bring in 𝒉𝒂𝒎𝒑𝒊𝒐𝒏𝒔 this year. This was our first year working with her. She was brand new to this kind of like dance team space. And when we were first talking with her, we felt really strongly about wanting to really lean into storytelling. As viral as our Dream On routine went last year, there were people out there that, and I shouldn't let this stuff get under my skin, but there were people out there that, kind of made the comment like, "Ugh, all they do is tricks, like they don't dance." And so I took that personally
Yep.
and
I would
decided
too.
like, well, fine, then then we're just gonna dance and we're gonna do a story and we're going to be emotional. And, so we felt really strongly as we were talking to Cassandra about wanting to kind of lean in that direction and show the versatility of the team. And so we were really honored to get to do this piece. Cassandra kind of choreographed it in honor of her mom, who had passed away a couple of years ago. And so, kind of the meaning behind the story was, thinking of those loved ones that we've lost, and like what are those kind of like final conversations we wish we could have had with them, and kind of coming to terms with that grief and that loss. And so it was a really special story to get
Yeah.
to share, not only for Cassandra, but I think even for our dancers, right? Like everybody has gone through grief in some capacity. And so, it was kind of cathartic for the dancers and just kind of everyone involved to kind of get to like have that moment to be vulnerable and share that story, kind of whatever it means for them
Right.
personally. And it's not often that as athletes you get to be as story driven. And so, it was a new challenge for us as a team to really like lean into that and tap into those emotions and kind of figure out how can we get people to understand that without, you don't get to like give a handout each year of like, this is our storyline, like follow along at 30 seconds in the dance. This is what it means. So it was a good challenge to kind of figure out how can we take the audience along on that journey.
I think you did a great job at that.
Oh, it
Yeah,
was
well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it was very fun to watch. I really loved it a
You
lot.
had a couple questions.
Oh, so something that I've heard people asking is like, I wonder if the whole time they were planning to have Ava in white at Nationals. I assume that you probably were planning that.
Yes, yeah, we did have that planned. We know we're so fortunate to get to have so many opportunities to kind of perform and get the routine out there and work through some of those things before we actually compete. But we also know that like those videos get shared out
Yeah.
Yeah.
very broadly. So we wanted to kind of keep something,
Yeah, I loved
under
it.
wraps for nationals. So yeah, we did have that plan for her to be in white, but we did want to wait for nationals for that moment, just as
Yeah.
kind of like an added level, added layer to the storytelling.
I loved it too, because I feel like then all the like everybody that did see it was like, what? Like when you guys walked out on the floor, like everyone was like losing it. It was kind of fun. And just even makes it
I got
exciting.
some tricks up my sleeve still,
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, we always try to change something before we go, like
Yeah. Something
to
big.
date, a little something, something for the judges.
it's good to keep people on their toes and
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
know what
is.
to expect.
Yeah. Oh my
So
gosh.
you mentioned it a minute ago, and we had this as a question that it gets to you sometimes when people do all the comments. So how do you deal with your
And like the kids deal with it.
kids,
Yeah.
the backlash of social media? It's just so horrible right now. So do you have some training for that, or anyone?
Yeah, I will be the first to admit that like I probably handle it the worst. I think my like mama bear instincts like kick in and like I've had to like stop myself from like,
I'm sure.
Like attacking.
replying back to people.
Yeah.
I think, it's like social media is such a blessing and a curse. Like we talk about like how great, like there's so many eyes on our sport and people are tuned in and paying attention. And that's because of social media.
Right.
But you also, you open yourself up to
Build it, yeah.
anyone and everyone's opinions. And I think, especially in a sport like ours, there's a lot that people don't understand
Yeah.
about dance team versus how does dance team compare to studio and how do the score sheets work and like what are you even being judged on? And then even for people that do understand it, like we're signing up for it to be 10 people's opinion of us on any
Right.
given day. So it's so there's so much opinion that weighs
Right.
in regardless. So I think, we have a lot of conversations just as a team of like, you give energy to what you choose to focus on. And
Yep.
so, yes, there's going to be people that don't like what we do, that, want to tear us down. It's not worth giving them the energy, replying back. Like, you just have to assume positive intent and so if people don't like what we're doing, that's they're allowed to have that opinion, and we just have to like trust what we're doing and what we believe in and know that, you know, the people that matter, like
Yep.
I like that quote that's like, if why do you care about someone's opinion if you wouldn't even ask for their advice? And so,
Right. That's true.
when there are
That's good.
people like, you know, saying negative things about my team, I'm like, well, I don't even know you. Would I even be asking for your opinion
Right.
or your advice anyway?
Right.
No. And like I said, easier said than done. And, I think the team has a much healthier approach to how they handle social media. I think like for them, it's all just fun, right? Like
Right.
they like making their silly TikTok videos. They like doing the dances. They like doing funny content on social media. They like doing their vlogs. Like the
Yep.
way they find value in social media, I think is so different than like
What?
how my generation views social media. And so I think they're able to kind of like
Let go of it a
take
little.
everything with a grain of salt. Whereas, like I said, I get my like mama bear
Yeah.
hat on and I'm like, how dare these people say that? And I'm like, okay, no, I need to just remove myself. So,
I
like
feel
I'll
the
be
same way when I
honest,
read it. I'm like, huh. And I'm like, they're not, I don't even know these
Yeah.
kids personally, but it makes me
right?
know how much effort they put into it and how talented they are,
Right.
so it is
And I think the bigger you get, or the more, it obviously gets
worse.
worse. It gets bigger. I laugh
Yeah.
because one of our friends, former camp staff, works on the Super Bowl, and
Hmm.
the minute the Super Bowl is over, you just start seeing the no, 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 no on social
I
media,
know.
and
Everybody's got an opinion.
they've
Yeah.
all got an opinion. And it was funny because on a dance coach choreography site, everybody was like, "Oh my God, I love that halftime." And then the normal people that don't know anything about dance were like, "That's
Yeah.
so lame." And I'm like, "Oh, gee, you can't win."
Yeah.
But
You're never going to make everybody happy.
no,
And if that's what you're aiming for, then we're probably not, we're not doing
not
the
doing
right thing
Well,
anyway.
right.
So,
yeah, it is hard to have restraint, and not answer back.
yeah.
So let's switch gears. What are your main goals each year, and how do you get the team to buy into the culture? And does this change depending on your athletes, the goals that you set?
Yeah, I think our goals, I'm not gonna lie, like our goal is to win every year, right?
Right.
Like we
Right.
want to
Well, you
win.
have, yeah,
But I think at the end of the day, that's something that's like not really in our control, right? Like I said, we
Yep.
sign up for 10 people's opinion on any given day. So I think at a larger level, what we really focus on, like our goals are how do we move our sport forward and how do we challenge ourselves as a team? I think it would be really easy to at this level be like, okay, well, this has worked for us last year, so we're just going to like keep repeating that same formula. And I
Yep.
think, we really challenge ourselves to try to do something different every year, whether it's, from a style standpoint, an athleticism standpoint, like a skill standpoint. How do we continue to kind of push boundaries and see like, how high is high with what we can do and how can we kind of push the sport forward as a whole.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, our goal is always to just like have zero regrets. So know that when we're going on the floor, when we're finished, we know that we've done everything we can to like prepare ourselves to the best of our ability. We always say like if there's one thing I can guarantee at nationals, it's that something's going to happen, right? Like something weird will happen. You have a bad turn day, you go to the wrong spot, like, you
Yep.
drop a lift, like something will happen.
Yep.
And so the goal is to know that we have trained and practiced to be able to handle any of those things.
Right.
And so, it's about that like confidence and building that confidence through consistency and just hard work. So that way the things that you don't control, like don't overtake like your mental preparation because
Sure.
in what we do, there is so much we don't control. We can't control what another team is putting on the floor. Like we're not necessarily going head to head, calling plays based on a
Right.
play that another team called, right? It's like
Yep.
we can own what we own and what we put on the floor, and we just have to hope that the work we've done is enough for us to walk off the floor feeling proud in that.
Yeah, that's also true. I actually you like the example of your lift, like not hitting in finals. I was like so impressed with the way your team handled it because
Mhm.
they literally didn't flinch.
And
Like
people
Yeah,
that didn't know.
no, like
yeah, yeah.
I actually like showed my kids it again. I'm like, you need to watch it again because I'm like, watch the phases of the kids that were supposed
Mhm.
to catch him, and it like didn't even phase them. They just kept going,
Yeah.
like no
I know
problem.
it was wild, like, because I'm like, even when we were first working on that lift, like that is not something that had ever happened. Like that, it truly,
Right.
like, you talk about flukes, like
Yep.
it was a fluke. We warmed that lift up like 4 or 5 times before we competed that day, and they nailed it every time. It's like stuff happens. Like
Happened.
that is just the
Mhm.
nature of this. And yeah, like in those moments, you just have to have the confidence to know that you've trained to recover
Yep.
and finish strong. And
Yep.
it's like that's really all you can do.
Yeah,
So
that to me was so impressive. Like I was like, I'm more impressed with that than the lift itself. Like just the recovery
yeah,
from that was
Okay.
yeah.
so cool.
So what are some of your pre-comp rituals or things to calm the nerves or pre the week of?
Yeah. We do a lot of visualization. We talk a lot about just like mental toughness and um like how you talk to yourself and like kind of
Yep.
talking to yourself like a champion, right? This is an easy one, but like instead of saying like, oh, don't fall out of my turn, I'm going to tell myself like I'm going to pull up out of my turn. So we talk a lot just about like reframing like that kind of
Yep.
self-talk and keeping it really positive and focused on what we want to happen versus what we don't want to happen. So
Yep.
a lot of just like mental preparation with that. We do a lot of, like I said, visualization and just kind of almost like meditation to kind of, visualize walking into the venue, visualize I'm warming up,
Yep.
visualize I'm backstage, visualize walking onto the stage, performing and walking off, and like how does that feel? And kind of like mentally preparing yourself for all of those moments.
Yep.
Um, I think, we are so lucky, like one of our favorite traditions is like getting to do best of the best and then
Yep.
performing at the Edina Invite and then having our send-off show too. So we are really fortunate to have like three really big performances that
Yeah.
kind of put that pressure on us to
Yep.
see like how do we respond? How do we react? How do we problem solve in those moments? And so those are always some like kind of favorite traditions of ours.
Hmm.
Um, and then we do a lot. We have one like final practice at a studio in Florida before we compete too, which is always a highlight of the season because the vibes are always just so positive, and it's less about like, hey, let's drill this in like this final moment, and more just like let's just build that confidence and that
Yep.
excitement and just kind of solidify the energy that we have before we like head into the competition space.
I
And
love that.
I do too. And all of that is so important. And as a rookie coach, if there's, younger coaches listening, that's one of the most important things is you've got to get that confidence. Like today, we leave for state tomorrow,
Yeah.
Minnesota State. And today we decided we're not going to go to our gym at the high school. We're going to go to the studio so we can vibe off the mirrors and everything.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
always feel like our energy in the studio is better than in the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're closer together because it's smaller.
Mhm.
You don't have your lines of the, gym, but it really does help you build confidence. And I've always been a big believer in visualization.
Yeah, you
and
have.
and I
with
really
others.
feel in the last couple of years we've gotten worse at it. You know,
Yeah, we
we
need to do
still
that
do
more.
it, but I used to do it more than I do now. And it's that fine line between you need to run it to make sure that you have the stamina
Yeah.
withstand make it through and look great at the end.
hmm
So, yeah. So, talk a little bit about the recruitment process. It's changed so much.
It has. Yeah. I think obviously back in the day and even up until like 5, 6 years ago, we would do kind of an in-person audition process. And so now as we've pivoted to this recruitment process, there are parts about it that I absolutely love because I think it allows us to get to know these athletes so much better than if we only saw them one weekend. So it's like
Right,
you really do get to know a dancer a lot more like holistically. You get to know them as a person. You get to see them in lots of different kind of settings, whether it's, as a soloist at a team competition, at clinics, at combines, like you just get to see so many different versions of them and
right.
really see their growth versus kind of evaluating somebody off of like, I get to watch you for a few hours over 3 days and like have to make the decision. So it's cool to get to kind of watch people's growth over this whole like recruitment process, whether, they kind of initiate their interest as like a freshman in high school, or even if like they just kind of come on our radar the summer before their senior year, you still get to kind of see them in so many different capacities,
Exactly.
as sort of like how you evaluate. I will
Yep.
also say part of that makes it even harder then when you can't offer a spot to a kid
Oh, for
because you
sure.
do get to know them so well and you're so invested in them. But I will say too, like part of that also like helps me feel more confident in like recommending them for other programs as
Right,
well because like I
right,
do get to know them and I'm like, hey, like I only have 4 or 5 spots that I can offer to kids from all across the country. You're
right,
fantastic though, and I would love to like put in a good word for you in other, for maybe other programs that you're interested in because it's like you do get to see their growth. So it's cool because it has opened up the interest to across the country, right? Like when
Yeah.
I first
Yeah.
started coaching at Minnesota, we would maybe have like 2 or 3 kids from out of state, and like out of state would maybe be like Wisconsin, Illinois, or Iowa. And now, we're like 50% of our team is from outside of Minnesota, which is so cool that like people all across the country like want to come and represent this university. And it's a double-edged sword too though because that means too that I talk about how much talent there is in Minnesota.
yep,
Yeah.
That also means these kids from Minnesota are able to look and pursue schools all across the country as well. And
right.
I think sometimes people think like there's like bad blood if like local kids like go to other schools, and it's like no, not at all. Like
Yeah.
I want these kids to end up like where it feels right for them. And I know like there was a point in time when I was in high school that I was like I would never stay in Minnesota for school. And
Yep.
granted, 20 years later I'm still at the University of Minnesota, but so there was a point in time where I was like of course I'm not going to Minnesota. I'm going to like leave. And so it's like there are kids that it's like they want to go further away from home. They want to experience like a different culture, a different part of the country. They want that independence, and that's
Right.
amazing. And I think it's so cool for Minnesota to be represented at so many schools across the country
Oh, right.
because
For
it just
sure.
shows how strong our state is. And I always say like that's part of what's great about the recruitment process is like it allows kids to fully evaluate like what feels right for them too. It's not just about like what school wants me. It's like where do you feel like you fit in as well, and you can really find like what feels like home for the next 4 years.
Right. That's so true.
Yes.
The idea of your pom dance, I mean, it was so cool. And I just think like the whole storyline of it, like going through and like
Mhm.
was so cool. Is that your idea or?
So we were actually inspired by a car commercial. I think it was like an Acura commercial actually.
Funny. I love that.
That we had seen and we were like, this is kind of a cool concept, like the lessons.
Yeah.
And so
Oh, I
we
think
kind
I've
of
seen that commercial now that you say it.
yes, yeah. So we kind of used that as like our starting point and built our own sort of like Minnesota lessons off of that. We work with a really fantastic music producer. His name's Rory. He's based out of Australia. And
Oh, wow.
so what's really cool is like all of obviously, Yeah by Usher was kind of like in the background of some of that. But the rest of that, like all of those voiceovers were all like AI. So like we gave him the lyrics and he had like an AI voice generator like do the lyrics and then he like created the whole like mix
It was so
all
cool.
original. So yeah, it was
Oh,
such a cool process to be a part of, like really building that song from scratch. And it took a lot of edits and then like once we got that final version, we were like, okay, yeah, this is something really cool.
it was
So
really cool. I loved that so much.
For me, that's the most exciting part. Like I love the creative process.
Oh, me too.
I love getting that music. Like I'm not even to state yet, and I'm already thinking about next year. I drive her
Yeah.
crazy, but that's how my mind works. But
you have to be like you have
yeah,
to be like already like 3 steps ahead. I know that's like the hard part about having such a great idea like that is now I'm like, shoot, but like what do we do
Next year.
next year to like not necessarily to top it, but just like what direction do you go after that? So that's the hard part now is like, okay, so what happens next year?
It is.
But
That's what we
oh,
always say is so hard about coaching dance versus coaching another sport is like if you get good at like coaching the plays and stuff, like I mean, I've never coached another sport, so I can't really talk for it, but like the creative side of dance is hard because it's like every year you have to try to be
mhm.
and like more creative and like different and it's a lot.
that's the exciting part too, though.
It is really exciting. It's fun.
And
So
that moment when you like when you know you have like that idea, you're like, okay, yeah, this
yeah,
is
it's
it.
so
But
fun.
there's usually a handful of bad ideas before you get there, but
Oh,
that's okay.
If you're a dancer looking for more, you can check out our Just for Kicks camps and attend one in the summer. You can also check a youth program in your area. We're in 200 communities right now, and maybe we'll be adding one in your area soon.
Your incredible synchronization and your incredible precision and force of moves. Every coach, like on my Dance Coaches and Teachers Unite, is always like, how do you get your kids to be tight? How do you get them so synchronized? So can you share any tips? Not that will help your fellow colleges, but
Um, I wish there were like some silver bullet with it, but it's just repetition. It really is. We watch film a ton. I
yep.
think dancers are so visual just in general.
Yep.
I think one thing that always kind of surprises people, like we don't practice with mirrors like ever because we're in the gym most of the time. And
Yep.
so you end up developing like this really strong sense of like body awareness that I think helps then as they then watch film. It's like they are able to see like visually what's happening on screen and like see how it maybe feels different in their bodies. And so it's like that blend of body awareness and then allowing them to visually see like what
Yep.
we are seeing as coaches makes a huge difference. We're really fortunate to work with a strength coach at the university who really caters our workouts to like dance specific and like what our moves and like requirements and our routines are. And I
Yep.
think also helps a ton just when we think about like the power and intention behind their moves.
Yep.
They work out not to like bulk out or not to like lose weight, but again, like it's just great for injury prevention and the body awareness that strength training adds just makes like that cleaning process like so much smoother because they just know like the mechanics of their body that
Yep.
allows them to really like be detail oriented as we're cleaning and like feel the difference of like breaking through the elbow versus breaking through the shoulder. Like just that
Yep.
body awareness makes a huge difference.
For sure. Yeah.
absolutely. Gosh, we're so appreciative for you
Yeah.
being
Thank you.
on. wish you the best of luck next year as well.
Thank you.
And in
Yes, I
April.
know we're-
And in April, yeah, April now.
Yeah, I know, right? Who needs an off season? It's fine.
Right.
So, yeah, no, we're excited. We're taking a couple weeks off and then we'll really start, getting back into it in March, which will be fun. I don't think we're ready to kind of say goodbye to the season yet. It's been just like a really enjoyable process, and the team just like really, they just like working hard, and so we're excited to get to have a couple more months together and just, like I said, get to represent the US and take on a new challenge. So it'll be
Yeah.
fun.
So when you do that, will you do your same dances or do you do new stuff?
So we'll do Pom again, hot off the press. We actually are gonna mix up jazz and do something a little bit different just to kind of keep things fresh. But yeah.
That's exciting.
Well,
Yeah.
best of luck
So-
to you. And
Yeah.
again, we thank you in this busy time, and we look forward to watching you on Team USA. And
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to chat with you guys.
we're excited you're willing to come to camp and speak to the coaches.
Oh yeah. I love it. Yeah.
That'll be great.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
man. All right.
Thank you.